Hi, I'm Shaka Hislop, and you're here at Extra Time TV.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Extra Time TV. This is a EXTV live, and we had a couple delays, but we're finally started. Like I said, I'm gonna do these for the next couple weeks. I really appreciate everybody joining us last week for the last EXTV live and checking out all our videos. So, like I said, these are not planned. This is an experimental thing that I'm doing, for the viewers in there. So anybody who's out there as well, I will allow people to join in. So in this format, like I said, I committed to 30 minutes every week with some topics that the fans chooses. Of course, I will choose selected, and I will also have some myself, and I will do the topics. And of course, it's live, so it's very raw, uncut. If there's mistakes, in there, it's uncut. So welcome, Athena. I see people already coming in. So tell your friends, tell everybody else. Be sure to like, subscribe. So the format of the show is where we're going to do the topics as you see on the screen over here. And then at the end, I cater for a couple minutes of Q&A. And it was really successful last week. It was only supposed to be 30 minutes, but because of the engagement of everybody, it ended up going to like an hour. And then what I will do is afterwards, and you can let me know, while I'm discussing the topics as well, what you think about the format. I'm also thinking about when it's done, I will split some of the videos separately into separate YouTube videos and put time codes for those who just want to watch certain topics. And just give me your general thoughts. So, before I get started, Trinidad and Tobago has been, there's a lot of football going on, and, I really like to appreciate everybody all around the region and the world that has been supporting this. It's very unorthodox, it's very live, and I'm doing this because you all have encouraged me. So Athena and everybody else in the live stream and whoever else is out there, I really appreciate that. And, I will be announcing the giveaway for the jersey here, folks. As you can see, I mentioned this before I get started. I want to mention this. I've been mentioning this a while now. I'm going to announce the giveaway next week, folks, just before the actual game. And, we will decide who the winner is. I'll do a very random draw. And, of course, the regular commenters and posters definitely have a good chance. And, look out for that. Also, in case you're wondering what I'm wearing, this is the classic. Can't really see it. You see, it's the Diego Maradona number 10 because today is his birthday and I'm a massive Argentina fan. So, of course, I'm going to wear that. And, of course, my hair is not gray. I just decided to go a little different today and do things. So, with that being said, we're going to head into our first topic, our very first topic. And, I want to say before I do this, it's a lot managing all this, and I really appreciate the patience everybody is doing in terms of, helping me do all these, these topics. It's definitely very engaging. So I'm going to start with Lionel Messi. So as you can see here, folks, Lionel Messi has announced that he's going to stay with Inter Miami all the way until 2028. So a lot of people, this is the topics that you all want to talk about, folks. So I don't know if you all are a Lionel Messi fan or not, or a Cristiano Ronaldo fan. You can let me know in the live stream right now. But Lionel Messi has announced that he's going to stay with Inter Miami for the rest of his career. That's a big move. It's a big move for MLS. It's a big move for David Beckham and his crew. I'm not surprised because I know Lionel Messi was heavily invested in the club. So I knew it was only a matter of time. A lot of people are asking if he's going to play for the World Cup. There's a lot of questions surrounding Lionel Messi. Some people are sure he's going to do it. But he has said multiple times that he's going to play it, literally day by day. And he will evaluate himself. So this is the statement Lionel Messi had to say. So let's pull that up, folks. So as you can see here, if you're just joining us, Lionel Messi, this is from the Inter Miami official website. It makes me really happy to stay here and to continue with the project that besides being a dream, has become a beautiful reality. Playing in the stadium at Miami Freedom Park. Since I arrived in Miami, I've been very happy. So I'm truly glad to keep going here. We're all really excited about the moment when we can finally play at the Miami Freedom Park. We can't wait for it to be finished, to experience it from the inside in our new home, and for the fans to enjoy it as well. It's going to be something very special to play at home in such a spectacular stadium. So that's from the man himself. There's a whole bunch, and of course I'm not going to read it out. And everybody who's joining in the stream, make sure to tell your friends, make sure to do those likes because it really helps and it encourages me to do more of these outside the actual watch-alongs, which will be coming up for the World Cup qualifiers. And if you're wondering what stadium he's talking about, This is what he's talking about. It's such clever marketing, folks. Social media teams don't get the credit they deserve. So basically, Lionel Messi, I can't play the video for copyright reasons. Actually, maybe I could have, but I don't want to take that chance. At the beginning of the video, Lionel Messi was in an office, signing the contract. And then they pull the green screen away and reveal that it's the new stadium that's been built near to the Inter Miami airport, which I go to all the time. And it's very far along in its construction. And I think it's very clever marketing to show how Lionel Messi and the stadium and is growing with the club. And it's just massive for the MLS. It's just massive for Inter Miami. I'm not going to pretend I was just a massive MLS fan, because I was not. But, with Lionel Messi there, and who knows what else. This is a tournament. This is one of the major leagues in our region. We have Trinidadian players there, Trinbagonians there, Jamaicans there, Caribbean players there. So it's exciting to see. Even right now in my EAFC career mode, I'm playing with Inter Miami. Folks, let's take a quick look at the stats brought to you from SofaScore about Messi's season so far. He's already, I think he's nominated for the MVP for the MLS again. So this is from SofaScore. He's played 29 matches. They're in the playoffs now. I don't know why the team they're playing right now eludes me. Those in the live stream, you could let me know. So like I said, if you're just joining us, like, subscribe, get people in there. I know this is a bit random and late, but I'm going to try to do this every week. So he scored he had 29 matches, he got 31 goals, 16 assists. That's crazy. This is a guy who has been injured. He hasn't played all the games. Minutes per goal involvement, 53 minutes. So every 53 minutes, there's a goal. That's crazy. This is a guy who's approaching his 40s. A lot of players slow down at this age. He's not. Key passes per match, 2.9. Shots per match, 5.6, which makes his goal scoring even more impressive. Successful dribbles, 53%. Duels, 1, which is not, his strong point, 50%. That's still not bad. His SofaScore rating, which is 8.57, which I thought it would have been higher. And if you look at his heat map, which is on the right of the screen, you could see the red, which is that's the areas where Messi predominantly operates. And you can see over the years he has become a more central midfield player, just playing in that gap between the offense, the cam role, the trequartista, whatever role you want to call it, and he drifts all over, and he has adjusted his game to become very, very, very dangerous. And that's the thing about Lionel Messi. So folks, before I move to my next topic, let me know what you think about Lionel Messi renewing. Not everybody likes the MLS. Not everybody even likes Lionel Messi. But if you follow world football, this is massive news for the region, and it just makes the CONCACAF region more exciting. The MLS definitely is a proud league. Some people obviously don't like it. Some people do, and I think that's a massive move for Inter Miami. So we're going to head into our next topic right now. Trinidad and Tobago, the women's team, lost 4-1 to Jamaica in a friendly last night. I wasn't able to attend, and I have to admit it was kind of difficult. I couldn't see the game. Did anybody see the game? I probably could have done a watch along for that game. Obviously, I'm very invested in women's football. I worked with the women's team back in 2021, 2022. We had a great success. We got the final rounds in Mexico. It was a grueling qualifying tournament, but we got to Mexico, which was impressive. Playing in the pandemic settings, it was a completely unique experience. There was a documentary that we did on FIFA Plus. Very exciting stuff if you follow Trinidad and Tobago football. Very, very exciting. They lost 4-0. And, while we're talking here, I'm going to see if I could pull up some of the news here. I got some information from Wide868. And, I'm going to pull up a quote here. I can't pull it up on the screen, but I'll read because it was very difficult to get the information. But the goal scorers, I can't even find the goal scorers online. I'm seeing some quotes here. Unfortunately, when the fitness levels are down, you can't sustain that sort of pressure. Overall, the staff, we are happy with the performance. That's the Trinidad and Tobago coach who took over for Angus Eve. His name is, I'll make sure I get his name right. I can't see his name right now. And his name is completely eluded my mind. I don't know why I'm trying to emphasize a point here. If it wasn't for maybe Wide868, I probably would not have any news on this team. There's no information on the formations, anything. So anybody who was there at the end of the game, at the game, she could update me as well. And of course, I'm seeing, everybody's talking about Asher James not being in the squad. I mean, I know Asher James, great person, great player, very talented. It's very, sad to see that's going on. So they haven't ruled out Asher James not playing with the national team, but she spoke her mind about Angus Eve and certain things that are going on. In a now removed social media post, she raised the issues about, Yaya. And, we'll see how that unfolds. You can let me know your thoughts. I'm looking at the squad here. So there's some familiar faces. I'm seeing Swift, Shauna, welcome, Kutan, Charles, Oran, and Athena. Everybody, if you're joining in, I know this is unexpected. This is now the weekly thing I'm doing. I'm doing this because you all asked me to do it, and I will continue to do it. And I ask that everybody like, subscribe, share to your friends, all these things, because it really helps. So just back to the women's game, there's Shauna Lee. I'm seeing Katie Johnson, Maria Sarant, and a couple other players, some new faces in there, and some old ones as well. So, the point of contention is Quadna. She expressed her feelings about that. And, a lot of people have been asking me because I worked on the women's team before, but I'm not there anymore, and I'm not going to comment on that out of respect for everyone. I'm just going to comment on what was reported. And, Asher James did not play. The coach indicated that the issue has been sorted out, before he got there. And, we'll see how that goes. But, it's not really any loss like that isn't great. 4-1 to Jamaica. I would love to, I love to give stats. I love to give statistics, and I don't have much stats, and I'm trying desperately to find something. And kudos to Jamaica. They did really well. Even now while we're speaking, these live streams are very impromptu, as you could tell. But this is some information I got from Wired 868. So Trinidad and Tobago played a 4-2-3-1. Nicolette Craig. And then I think Tanisha Palmer came on. Great person. Chrissy Mitchell, Shauna Lee Govaya, Victoria Swift, Katie Johnson, Maria Francis Sarant, Naomi Guerra, Kenya Cordner, Nikita Gosain, Aliyah Prince, Tanisha Griffith. And of course, they had the substitutions with some people who I'm familiar with. I see the return of Afia Cornwall. And Jamaica, of course, the Trinidad coach, name just came back to me. Damian Briggs. Jamaica played a 3-4-3, which is a very attacking formation. I can't comment on how they played because I don't know. I can't give a truthful answer about how they played. If anybody in the live stream or anybody knows about it, you could let me know. Jamaica played with a 3-4-3 formation. I'm going to read out all the players. And, Coach Hubert Busby Jr. And the referee was Crystal Sobers. So, like I said, folks, I would like to give more. I mean, as somebody who worked in the Trinidad and Tobago women's team and has been around the women's football, I want us to do well. So, I hope, whatever situation came up has been resolved. And if anybody was at the game, you could let me know. Because I could not see the game and I couldn't attend the game. So, we'll see, next time maybe I'll try to attend the game and maybe do a watch along. Who knows? Who knows, folks? But you could let me know what you think about this. And before we move into our next topic, folks, I want to let you all know that this is the new weekly thing I'll be doing. Like I said, when we did the last watch along, a lot of people asked me to do this, so you'll be doing this every week. Welcome, Sun. Like I said, keep putting those questions in because at the end of the video, I will answer. I will try to keep the content at 30 minutes, and I will allocate some time to answer some questions. And I will be bringing in some guest folks, so watch out for them right here in the studio so you can ask questions. All access. It's a conversation with everybody. So I'll give you all some updates about that. We'll be announcing the giveaway for the jersey brought to you by Sportway and Mitra. I will be playing. I mentioned this multiple times. I will be doing a watch along with this. I know a lot of people Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, this is a lot of work. So I really appreciate the feedback, the comments, suggestions, the views, because it really helps the channel, folks. So I'd like everybody to continue to like, subscribe, and share. And as we continue with the topics, before I go ahead, you could head over to extvmedia.com for different topics. Follow us on our socials, Extra Time TV TT, and mine's at Andre Soklal on Instagram. And just let me know your thoughts. I'm doing this. The format, how it's done, the topics are entirely selected by yourself. And, if you all want to do things differently, if you think it's too long, it's too short, whatever, we'll listen. And it's fully engaging. So if you're on right now, that's the thing. It's not pre-recorded like television. You could comment right now and let me know what you're thinking. And, so like I said, I will do the topics as you could see on the side here. I will cover the topics. Sometimes topics come up while I'm doing the show, while we were preparing the scripts of the show. there were topics coming up, and it's very difficult to cover them all. But we will do that. I'm trying to cover a lot of Trinidad and Tobago content as well as Caribbean content as much as possible. But of course, we will cover international content as well. And speaking about international content, I'm going to try to pull this up really quickly, folks. Let's see if I could do that really good without making a mistake. The El Clásico took place over the weekend. Real Madrid took on Barcelona, and Real Madrid won. It was something that I'm going to pull up some stats really quickly. But, Kylian Mbappe, Jude Bellingham scored. The big boy scoring. Fermin Lopez scored, and of course there were red cards. Of course it was a feisty affair. We know there's a lot of Real Madrid and Barcelona fans out there. And I'm talking about this because you all asked me to. Unfortunately, the result was kind of overshadowed because there was a lot of discrepancies that took place with both Yamal leading up to the match, giving some statements, kind of fanning the flames, and talking about Real Madrid always complaining. And of course, players were, as we say in the Caribbean, giving him talks, so basically bantering with him afterwards. And of course, it was feisty. There was a scuffle. Vinicius left. He came back. And of course, in addition to Yamal, you all could let me know about your thoughts. Do you think that, maybe he's talking too much? Maybe his dad's influence on him is maybe affecting him and attracting a lot of attention that maybe he doesn't need. And it just applies to all players, not Lamine Yamal. Very talented player, but of course, eventually when he did lose, it invited a lot of attacks. Even Diego Simeone of Atletico Madrid came out in support of him and said, hey, this is a young kid. We need to not bash these kids and guide them, teach them what to do. He's 18 years old. And I think sometimes people forget how dumb we can be at 18 years old. He said those things. And then the other side of the El Clásico, Vinicius Jr. was very unhappy about being substituted, when he came off from that particular game. And Xavi Alonso and him, there was a go and he was asking if he wanted to leave. And, even after the game, there was a scuffle. He left. He came back. Vinicius, played a great game. He played a magnificent game. And, I'll pull out some stats really quickly before we continue. This is not the stats here. These are the stats. So as you can see here, Barcelona 68% possession, Real Madrid 32% possession, 23 shots for Real Madrid, 10 on target, 15 versus 6 for Barcelona, 53% in terms of the duels for Real Madrid, 47, 81% accurate passes, and those were the stats for the game. So going back to Vinicius, unfortunately that's what we're gonna have to talk about. We spoke about Lamine Yamal, and we're hoping that Lamine Yamal and his dad kind of calm things down. But Vinicius Jr., this is what he said. So I'm gonna see if I could get some information very quickly here. So during the game, I want to get the exact quote because he apologized to the players. But when he came off the pitch, he said, according to this official report from one of these the AZN website, Vinicius shouted to the coach, "Me, coach, me. It's always me. I'm leaving the team. It's better I leave." It's come on. Every time you think that Vinicius Jr. is about to mature, he actually played a good game. He does something like this. I don't know what's wrong with this guy. He's always, getting himself in trouble, fanning the flames, doing crazy things. And then, of course, today, he put a post on Twitter and he said, I'll read it. In fact, let me pull that up for you. So here it is. Today, I want to apologize to all the Madridistas for my reaction when I was substituted in the Clásico, just as I have already done in person today during today's training session. I also want to apologize again to my teammates, the club, and the president. Notice he didn't say anything to the coach. Interesting. Sometimes passion gets the better of me because I always want to win and help my team. My competitive character stems from the love I feel for this club and everything it represents. I promise to keep fighting every second for the good of Real Madrid, as I have done since the first day. Heart emoji at Real Madrid. So folks, listen, we live in this era where everything is on social media and people think, everything is exposed. You could put stuff on social media. You can apologize afterwards, but we're seeing repeated behavior, folks. And folks, keep the comments coming in. And like I said, I will allocate time to answer all your questions at the end of the topics here on this side. So Vinicius, Real Madrid, it overshadowed what was a good result, because last year they lost to Barcelona all 4 times, and they got a good result. instead of celebrating, he kind of put all the attention on himself. And now instead of talking about the game, we're talking about Vinicius Jr. And I think, he has been groomed from a very young age, because if those of you have been following him since, before he came to Madrid, he was already on FIFA covers. He was in the career mode. So he was already conditioned to be a star. And maybe, some people just can't handle it. He provokes players. He does things to provoke fans. And then when they give him back responses, he acts like a victim. He cries. He talks about, people being mean and so on. And, it's just not a great look for him. And, maybe he's going to grow up. Real Madrid is a club full of stars, and he's going to have to step things up. So folks, in the live stream and everywhere else, if you're joining us after the live stream as well, let me know what you think about Vinicius Jr. I know that we have a lot of Real Madrid fans. We know that we have a lot of Barcelona fans. So let me know what you think about Vinicius and also Lamine Yamal and their respective situations and how they approach things. There's definitely a level of immaturity with both players. They are the talents for the next generation, and we'll see how it goes, with these players. So we're going to head to our next topic. But before we move to our next topic, folks, as you can see below here, we have the SSFL scores updated. And, there were some games today. So, we'll try to update those as much as possible. But we always have to try updates. We have updates on those things and so on. And, we'll try to keep this as engaging as possible with as much information as possible. And of course, we're being loyal to the local content and the regional content, but we will talk about international content. I'm already getting a lot of static from my Inter Milan group that I'm in. Why don't I talk about Syria? So maybe I will next time. Drop those comments. Let me know what you think. Because when you do that, when you put comments, when you interact in the chat, you like, subscribe, you automatically qualify for chances to win prizes. Not just a jersey, with other prizes as well, folks. So you could also support the channel by becoming a member and all those things. Lots of new things, folks. And this all has been possible because of your support and continued support with EXTV Live. And we're going to do this every week. Like I said, it's all based on your responses. You could send questions in. You could put the questions, even if I don't answer them today, you could put the questions in the comment section afterwards. You could even email us at extratimetvtt@gmail.com. This is probably the best place, but if you want to do it there, we can. And, we will adjust. We will adjust the content. The topics are selected by you all. This is the only place I could boast that. Usually on the usual television networks, they just put whatever they want and you have to take that. You all can immerse. We will have guests. And, we will be doing a watch-along as well for Trinidad and Tobago versus Jamaica, which will be coming up very soon, and also the Bermuda game. A lot of people discussed, the scenarios about Trinidad and Tobago and us qualifying for the World Cup. There's a video. You can check that out on the YouTube channel. I'll probably put a link somewhere here when this video isn't done. So we're going to continue to our next topic, which is talking about the Trinidad and Tobago Premier League, Football League. It has resumed. So I'm going to pull that up really quickly, folks. Like I said, it is back. And we're going to take a quick look at the table. Before I get started, a lot of you don't know, I did, in the early days of my career, I worked with Central FC when they first started as an intern. And I worked with the marketing, I worked with the coaching staff, and it was very invaluable experience for me, to develop me into the career that I'm in right now. And, I really have a lot of love for Central FC and local football. I got even more appreciation for how much work goes into it, the obstacles these guys have, the problems, the people that are there, and a lot of things that are going on. So the league has resumed. And of course, I didn't get to look at all the games, but I'm going to pull up the table here. As you can see, Police FC, after the match day 1, they're on top with 3 points. Prison Service FC 3. Central FC, which is, the team that, I'm close to. 3 points. Club Sando, 3 points. AC Port of Spain, 5th. Defense Force. And of course, at the bottom of the table coming up, we have San Juan Jablote, Eagles FC, Point Fortin Civic, Caledonia, and Rangers. Of course, it's very early days yet, so it's very, difficult to really, determine who's going to win right now. In fact, I think I'm going to do this really quickly here. I'm going to try to pull up the actual results. So I'm doing this live, folks. I'm doing this live. This is crazy, but I'm going to do it live. So I'm going to try my best here. So while we're talking, folks, you could let me know what you think about the TT Pro League, what you think about the scores, what you think about the team so far. Do you think that people follow the Pro League enough? What do you think about it? We'll also talk about the high school football. Is it promoted well enough? It's a very interesting time for Trinidad and Tobago football because the national team has been doing a lot better. And, we have to try and see, if we can really support local football. If you don't support football, I'm sorry, local football. If I'm stuttering a little bit, it's because I'm trying to do this at the same time. If you don't support local football, why? And what would you like to see in local football? And would you like to see me talk about local football a lot more? So, folks, I'm doing this live, folks. I'm doing this live. So I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to try to make this as neat as possible. And, as you can see some magic here, viewers, check this out. Let's see. Is it going to load up? Boom! There it is. Of course, I'm behind. I did this in a hurry. So, that's the score lines there. One of the games was postponed. So, as you can see there, those are the scores. Of course, with the symbols. Central FC getting a 2-1 victory over Point 14 Civic, in case you all don't know. And I actually don't know some of the symbols of these teams. But obviously, one of the games was cancelled. And, yeah. So, what I will do is, folks, let me know in the live stream. If you want to see more of this TT Premier League. People still call it the Pro League, but it's the Premier League now, and you can let me know what you think about that. I will be following Central SC because obviously I'm close there. And for those of you in the live stream, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the format. It's just started. What do you think clubs need to do to get people more involved? I know a lot of people say there's a lot of money that you need to get to support these teams. Would you ignore a Premier League game to go watch a local league game? And if not, why not? Tell me. Let's have a discussion about that, because I've been hearing for years from the older generation, the current generation, which I'm kind of dancing on, and the younger generation. A lot of people just don't seem to be interested. Of course, the consensus by a lot of the veterans of the game is we need to take the game back to the communities. And what I will say about that is I understand the thought process. I really do. I understand that, you need to take the game back to the communities. However, I will counter that slightly. We have been blessed with some facilities in Trinidad and Tobago. While it's not perfect and not well maintained, and that's another issue, we do have facilities, and we need to, the clubs, and of course, maybe it's a budget issue. We need to find a way to not just merge the communities, but also get people to come to the stadiums. I mean, of course, certain areas don't have the facilities. I know Point 14 has done a lot of great work. Central FC for years used the Atto Bolan Stadium. And, it's a very monumental task if you don't have the funding. It's not easy. You need a lot of football money to run football. But I would always say, we do have the facilities. We have to take advantage of them. And, the people who are administrators out there, I'm a graduate of sport management and so on. We need to find a way to get the students, even like myself and others as well, into the Pro League so you could, start forming relationships and regain that trust with corporate Trinidad and Tobago to get people back to the games. It's not very family-oriented, folks. Unless you're a football fanatic like myself, people don't want to take their families there. They don't want to take families. And, that's the problem with the Trinidad and Tobago, league in general. Some people have indicated to me that sometimes they don't feel comfortable, that when there are a few people there. And, these are all the little things. We have to fix these things and get people to the stadiums. And if you can't get to the stadiums, work with the ministries and so on, and, corporate sponsors, communities. Each club should have, people who are designed to do those things. And it's easier said than done, folks. But there's definitely a certain segment of Trinidad and Tobago football, the public, that is not interested. And I even wrote an article about it. There are some people who just feel alienated by the game and are just not interested. The younger audience, unless they're players involved or they play high school football, don't seem to be that interested. In fact, the SSFL gets way more interest. So now you have high school players that are getting a lot of interest. When they go to the Premier League, all of a sudden, sometimes it's empty. Not all the time. I know Point 14 always has great crowds. Certain stadiums have decent crowds. I will admit that. When I was at Central FC, they managed to, which was a long time ago. I don't know if that's changed. There was a decent crowd there. So, folks, you can let me know what you think about that. That's honestly something that I really don't understand. But we could have a discussion about it. So all the viewers that are coming in, keep posting your comments, thoughts, and suggestions. I will, at the end of all the topics here, answer and go through all the posts one by one. And like I said, I'm going to remind everybody, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, click the little notification bell under the YouTube video wherever you're watching. I will try to put time codes for all the topics. So those of you who don't want to listen to the entire episode, you could jump straight to that topic. And I'm also considering At the end of each episode, I will clip what I think is the most important topic and put it as a separate video as well. A lot of people wanted to see the video where we discussed the scenarios of Trinidad and Tobago qualifying for the World Cup. And, you know, it got decent following. And, you know, of course, when you share and whatever, it helps the channel. All these things help the channel. Of course, the retention time and everything else is great. And, you know, it encourages me to do this even more. I'm doing this as a result of everybody from the watch-alongs asking me to do it. And, you know, based on the viewers, I will do it week to week. And like I said, I will discuss whatever topics you all want to discuss. Of course, there's topics that I will discuss beforehand. I will prioritize a lot of local content and give it the best information possible. I work with SofaScore, and they give us a lot of beautiful data. And I will continue to improve. Like next week, I will have more information on the TT Premier League. I'll also have more information on the Secondary Schools Football League, which I'll talk about quickly before we head to the Q&A part. So, you know, make sure, like, subscribe, share, comment. Let me know what you think. Share with all your friends. And let me know. I want to hear what you all want. And, you know, the show is not set in stone. It will be adjusted. And, of course, we'll be doing giveaways as well. And I will remind everyone, you know, for those, pretty sure everybody knows this, but I'm going to do it again. This jersey, I'm going to be announcing the winner next week, just before the Trinidad game. And, you know, if the winner is in Trinidad and Tobago, you know, I could arrange possibly to meet before the game, because I'll be doing the watch along. And like, folks, I said I do have a dilemma, folks. Because I usually attend the games physically, it will mean I won't do a watch along, because I wasn't allowed, TTFA, I wasn't allowed to do the watch along at the stadium for now. So I will do there. I do have a presence there. You know, I have my media team, so I may have somebody representing me, and they will go to the game, and I will just stay in the studio with you guys and enjoy it. I may possibly try to get a location near to the stadium, as I said before, and then go to the post-match conferences and so on. But we will have the post-match conferences. We will have our reaction after the watch-along. We will have the players' reactions on both teams. So, you know, we'll definitely do all those things. So let me know your thoughts on that. So we're going to move along to our next topic over here, which is the SSFL. Now, I wasn't originally going to talk about it, but I'm going to pull up some information very quickly. It's going to be very difficult to pull up on screen now, but I know it's possible there's some changes because some games took place today, but this is the matches from Tuesday, the 28th of October, 2025. I'm going to see if I could pull this up. I'm going to try my best to see if I could do that while we're talking, so you all could see what I'm talking about. It's probably going to be too much work to do right now. But anyway, as it stands, you know, from what I'm seeing here, of course, some matches took place today. You know, Benedict's defeated... wow, there's so many scores here. I'm trying to pull it from the... and it's also underneath as well. But up until yesterday, which was Tuesday the 28th, St. Benedict's College was on top. Of course, they have one game in hand. Fatima College second. Of course, this may have changed between now, because that table was yesterday. Naparima College are in third. So the top three are Benedict's, Fatima, and Naps Presentation College in there with 28 as well. So the table is very close, folks. St. Mary's College, Queen's Royal College. So it's, you know, it's pretty tight, at least at the top four. You know, St. Anthony's from 5th place to 9th. I would say 5th place to 10th. It's pretty close between Signal Hill, Arima North, Trinity College, and Queen's Royal College. And, you know, I used to go to a lot of these games and do post-match interviews. And if you all want me to do more, I will. So you can let me know what you think about the secondary schools football, which team you all are supporting, who do you think is going to win. A lot of people are saying Naparima looks like they're going to win, but I think, you know, from what I'm seeing here, it looks like it's still pretty close. There's only a couple games left. So, you know, I think from what I'm seeing in the table here, you know, Presentation and Naparima College could definitely jump in there. Fatima as well, St. Benedict's. Definitely look like one of those four are going to win the title. A lot of people are saying it's Naps, but I think it's pretty close still. It's still pretty close. What I will say is I will try to follow a lot of the secondary schools football a bit more. You know, you can let me know what you think. And everybody who's in here, let me know who you support, what school you went to. If you'd like me to do more high school football, let me know. And if you're in here, folks, send the stream to your friends. If there's people who you think missed the stream and would like to ask questions, you all could ask me questions live on the air, and I will answer it. So, because we're building this community. So now, with that being said, we are going to head to the Q&A segment. which depending on the amount of questions, usually, like I said, I cater for like 30 minutes for the topics on this side, and then, you know, depending on the questions I ask. So I'm going to scroll up here in the stream here so I could see Sun. Welcome, Sun as well. I'm sure you're in here as well. I'm also seeing people subscribing as well. You know, thank you, Trini Grade 1, Harrison Wells, Micah Fields, Kazim Khan, Richard Pang, Ava, Clint Morrison, Hendrik Plantin, Slacko, Mustafa Abdul. And apparently somebody purchased some EXTV merch. So I really appreciate that. And folks, you can purchase it even if you're not from Trinidad and Tobago. You could purchase it anyway. There's a link I'll put below as well. Hoodies and so on. It really helps the channel, and it comes straight to your house. So that's if you want to do that. There's also a membership option. So Sun, Rio plays versus Liverpool today. Wow. Okay, so that's Cardines, folks. So I'm going to take a look at that highlights when I'm done. So that's great that he's starting. He's one of my favorite players. I think Rio Cardines is, you know, basically on new Carlos Edwards. So, you know, we'll see how, you know, I'll take a look at the game, because I think, you know, for the future, whether, I don't want to say it now, but whether we qualify or not for the next World Cup, you know, I think we have a nice pool of players, and we really need to work with them and, you know, also connect with the youth system and, you know, just do things right. Come on. So Chorus from Jamaica, TT bless up. Welcome, Chorus. Thank you for joining the live stream. I get a lot of love from Jamaica, folks. I really appreciate that. Candice Hiralal. Vinicius, the immature brat. So I'm guessing that's in relation to the Real Madrid conversation. I could see why people say that. He acts very immature. He throws tantrums. Last year with the whole Ballon d'Or thing, or was it the year before? Yeah, it was last year. You know, the whole thing about they're not going to attend, you know, it's ridiculous. And I think it shows a level of immaturity that, you know, you can't have much sympathy for him. You know, he's a very good player, but, you know, he brings these things on himself, and there's a level of immaturity. You know, we were speaking about Yamal earlier, but I mean, you think by now he would learn. But I guess when you're getting these large salaries, you know, the egos are very high. He claims it's passion, and, you know, South Americans are passionate people, but, you know, it does come off as bratty. It does. Curtin Charles, Vinny isn't a good role model. You know, it's very difficult to defend him right now, and no, he isn't. You know, if you're a young player and you're looking at Vinícius Jr., his behavior is not the best. How he acts is not the best, and there's so much more, you know, responsible players. I mean, in this particular game, Kylian Mbappe has his moments of immaturity, but he looked super calm compared to Vinícius Jr. And, you know, I mean, this is why I guess Lionel Messi, in terms of behavior, and many others as well, you know, if you want to aspire to greatness, Vinícius Jr. right now is definitely, if there's a naughty list, Vinícius is in there. So, you know, Vinícius needs to act up and, you know, stop acting like a crazy person and then apologizing afterwards. I mean, I get he's young. 25 is still young, but, you know, at that level, he's supposed to show some immaturity. It is a highly emotional game. I do empathize with that. I understand at this level of the game, you do say things, and it's part of the game as well, folks. I'm not going to pretend like this is golf or, you know, cricket, where you have to, you know, it's a game. It's very physical. It's very passionate, and people like to say what they have to say. You know, it's just that simple. You know, so I'm not going to say he should be quiet. I'm not going to say he should be boring, because there's a lot of rules that FIFA have been passing that I don't like. Like, if you celebrate too much, you get a yellow. Of course, if it's offensive, I understand, but, you know, it's almost like they're taking sort of the soul out of the game, and I don't like that. Candice Hiralal, Brazilian mentality. Curtin Charles, Central FC was the best team in our country for a few seasons. Jones, Plaza, I think Guerrero was there at one point in time. Yes, Curtin. Yes, they were. And I could tell you this. I used to work with them at that point in time. And when I came on, they weren't winners yet. That's the second year. That's when Brent Sancho and them put them together. I can't remember the name of the first coach. Graham Ricks, I think. And there was Terry Fennick as well in the beginning. And Graham Ricks is a former Arsenal guy. Coach, I think, whatever. And, you know, the second season I came on, and I really liked what they were trying to do at the time. And yes, they did have a Tula Guerra. Kenwin Jones was there. Kenwin Jones started to really support Extra Time TV. And we met around that time, and he supports us still to this day. We came in the studio last week for one of our episodes, and we will be bringing in people from time to time, folks, so we could have, you know, some chats and discussions. So Kenwin Jones has been in there. So Central FC really had a very strong team. They came in and they bought a lot of great players and they dominated for a long time. Sean De Silva, Plaza, John Michael Williams, rest in peace. We had, Benjamin who died. We call him Battery. Also Jason Macano who also died, unfortunately. It's crazy when I said it there. I remember that those two guys were on the team, and I got along with them very well. Macano was a very funny, animated guy. We had Nathaniel Garcia, we had Darren Chucky Williams. So many players. Really strong team. Next person here, Kutan Charles. The football played isn't horrible, but it can be improved. I'm assuming you were talking about the TT Premier League. Yes, I know that's the argument a lot of people have with the TT Premier League, that the football isn't that great and the quality isn't compared to that of the Premiership, obviously. But I think with better quality coaches, with more development, with more funding with the teams, and clubs need to learn to get, manage themselves and become more self-sustainable, become more business savvy. It's not just about having former coaches running clubs. You have to have guys who understand the business of sport. And we have a lot of young sport management students, myself included, people who understand that arena. Because I have a personal peeve where there is this notion that unless you've worked or played on a national team or some professional football team, that means that's the only criteria you are to do any sort of job in professional football or work in football. And unfortunately, and this is no disrespect to the people that are doing it right now, you hire people for certain skill sets. In the elite clubs, I've been around clubs, I've worked with clubs, alongside clubs, in different sports. You have highly trained people who are in charge of sales and marketing, community relations, legal, all these things. And, they're going to have to try to improve the relations. Corporate, you can't just say, hey, corporate Trinidad and Tobago sponsor us. They have to see a return in their investment. And, you have to get people who understand the business language of sport and be able to communicate and understand, hey, if we need to have these discussions, we speak with people and get people believing in the sport again. Because another thing that really hurt us is that the amount of corruption we've had in Trinidad and Tobago football, the misuse of funds. We spoke about this earlier in the stream. A lot of people simply don't identify with Trinidad and Tobago football, the local football. They just don't feel comfortable taking their families there. It's a cultural thing, I guess. I've been to games and I sort of understand what they're saying. In some games it's not ideal. The atmosphere is very dire sometimes, but they are trying. I said the national team is trying as well. And, we have to kind of rebuild that culture. In other countries, look at the MLS. It's a country that Trinbagonians would probably say it's not a strong football-centric country. But they understand, getting behind a team, the culture you have to build. You can't build a culture overnight. MLS, I would argue they have a lot of money. But in England, there are teams that are 100 years old, people that were born and raised supporting their club. So there's so much dynamics, and that could be an entire show altogether. Chorus, who's ranked number 3 in the rankings, folks. Trimmingham is the captain of my JPL team. MBU, I don't know what MBU means. Is that a thing? Am I old and I don't understand what that means? But Chorus, welcome again. Trimmingham is awesome. I remember when he first made his debut with Terry Fennick for Trinidad and Tobago, a lot of people criticized him. And like I said, Terry Fennick took over the team when it was during a pandemic. Players were not playing. International friendlies, you had to go in quarantine for like sometimes 14 days and then go to the other country and then quarantine again. And it was ridiculous. And I felt as if, whether you like him or not, was harshly judged. But of course, I think not qualifying, going further along in the qualification, didn't help the situation. But, I still think, he should have been given a better chance. But it is what it is, the environment. And then the normalization committee came in and it was just a huge mess. I'm not even going to get into that. So I like Trimmingham. So Curtin Charles, the SSFL, has a huge following, which is surprising. Well, Curtin, for me, it's not surprising. And I actually had this conversation. I don't know if you remember this with Anthony Roger and Angus Eve once, before Angus Eve took over Naps. Anthony Roger and him are really close. Former player, great guy, Anthony Roger. And we were doing our courses in UTT, and we were having a discussion. I happened to be present. And, they were having a discussion, and one of the things I contributed, I was like, listen, these high schools have history, especially the prestige schools and the other schools, not just the prestige schools. But, these schools have a following. They have a history. You have a built-in following, and the students will follow. And it's kind of what the clubs need to aspire to. And they need to find a way to merge maybe unofficial. And I'm sure people tried this already, to find a way to transfer those crowds, to follow the players so when they transition to professional teams. So, it's not surprising to me that, when you go to high school games, there's a lot of people there. There's past students, there's teachers, there's the existing students. There's a lot of business people that went to those schools, so they're willing to invest in the teams. And, I would like if a lot of people invest in the smaller teams as well. But, it's not entirely surprising to me. And I think a lot more could be done. And I'm actually supposed to have an interview with Mir Gonzalez, the president of the SSFL, which you could look out for that soon. We'll have a special interview about certain new things that he's putting in. I don't know the details yet, but a lot of people made jokes and saying I'm the one to do the marketing for the SSFL, and to that I will say no comment. If they want me and they're paying me, sign the checks and I'll do my best. But there's a lot of work, and I think a lot more could be done. And I think this losing with Sportsmax dissolving, that didn't help at all. They were getting regional coverage, so a lot of people have been saying to fill the gap. It's something I don't mind filling, but it's a lot of resources and time, and I may be able to cover some games. So that's actually an idea. Maybe I will cover some of the games. I've been getting a lot of very kind compliments, and I'm very humbled by this about my commentary in the watch-alongs. And I've been getting it from people in media as well. So I'm very flattered and humbled by this, and it's opening the possibility for me to try that. So I'll start having discussions, and I'll do it. So yeah. Kutan Charles Cardines has a Carlos Edwards look. He does. He does have that. I don't know what's going on in my English. He does have that look. And I know Carlos Edwards really well. And, we have conversations. And I will try to get him on the show. Guys, if you want him on the show, this is how you do it. You put a whole bunch of comments and request it. And he will come in. He's a friend of mine, but, he'll come in. Kevin Jones came in physically. I could probably have Carlos Edwards on via Zoom, split screen here. And you all could ask him questions live, folks. That's the cool thing about EXTV. You could ask him questions, and, we don't limit it. Even though I said I was only going to do 30 minutes, we don't limit it to 30 minutes. So that's what we're going to do. So, I'll do that. And other people as well. And I could bring people as well. I also, for those of you who follow cricket, I'm going to arrange to have Colin Board and maybe one of the TKR guys in here as well. My eye's itching. Bravo, or one of those guys. Folks, in case you're wondering, I'm wearing these blue light protectors. It's very good for your eyes if you sit in front of computers all the time and do a lot of work. Wear these. They protect your eyes. I mean, of course, try to limit your time in front of the screen after EXTV you exercise. I encourage taking care of yourselves, people. A lot of people have been asking about my routine. I mean, I'm not some kind of fitness influencer, but I really am an advocate for good health. And we'll talk about that next time. But just a little tip from me. So we're going to continue and see the questions flying in here, folks. Sun Trimingham is not international quality. Real talk. I understand why you say that. I think he is. A lot of people were, taken aback when they first saw him when he played for Terry. He does have the physicality I think we need. I've seen some improvements, but I don't watch him week to week, and I'm going to be honest about that. So I'm not going to pretend and lie and say I've seen him week to week. I think he did okay. Maybe there's something Dwight York and they see. He did well enough in certain games. I think mobile players who are fast and strong could probably cause him some problems. But so far so good with the national team, and I'm guessing with continuity. Obviously, coaches see something in him, so we'll see. And I think I've seen a little bit of an improvement for myself. So we'll see. But you could let me know for those of you who follow him a little bit more. Hercott Bent, am I pronouncing that correctly? Welcome to the live stream. And like I said, folks, before I continue, I would like to ask everybody to like and subscribe to the channel right now. It really helps the channel. Be sure to click the notification bell as well. When you do that, you get notifications from all the different updates, not just a live stream, but we have special interviews with people in football, Shaka Hislop, CPL players, TKR players, Esports as well. We're going to have a lot of esports content. And we have a lot of unique content in there, folks. And you could check us out on TikTok. We have some light-hearted content as well and some quick snippets. The YouTube shorts. We have a hilarious one with myself and Kevin Molino playing FIFA. There's another one with James Saunders and myself. For those of you who don't know, he's a local TV person. Lots of cool content. We have lots of different types of content. We have the written content. That's not the usual boring news. It's very unique, opinionated pieces. Combined with the stats from the wonderful folks of SofaScore, and we have giveaways, so it really helps the channel. Of course, you could become a member. There's links in the YouTube links where you could click, and if you want to support the channel, whatever way you can, it really helps me to continue to do this channel. It takes a lot of resources to do this, and it helps me to continue the channel and improve this show for all of you. So I'd really appreciate if right now you all could take a pause and subscribe to the channel right now. Just click that button. Takes you a second. Just do it. I was going to crack a joke and say I'll wait while you all do it. And I will see it when it pops up on the screen. So please do that, folks. So Hukot Bent, welcome. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I like your show. I would like to say thank you, Hukot. I really appreciate that. Son, who is better than Trimingham? Oh, so you guys are having a conversation, and I love that. We're building a community, folks. And if you want updates, folks, I will be doing this every week at Wednesday. I'm going to try to do it at 7 p.m. Let me know what you all think, if you're all okay with that time. Do you think I should do it at a different time? I'm just want to do it. I'm going to do that for continuity so you all get the routine. And then when you guys get familiar, even if you're not seeing it live, you can look at it afterwards. And, you can let me know what you want to see on the show, folks. It's fully interactive. And we will have guests. Who got bent. Before Trimingham came, the defense was so poor on leaking goals. Yeah, I think he's improved. Hukot, let me know where you're from as well. Folks, let me all know where you all from as well. So don't forget to subscribe as well. Candice Hiralal, bring Omar Batistuta, the best footballer in the world. I would love to have Gabriel Batistuta on the show. I'm an Argentina fan. He's one of my favorite strikers ever in life, and that would be great. I would absolutely love Batigol in studio. Folks, those of you, you can let me know who's your favorite striker of all time. He's mine. I know a lot of people think because I like Argentina, Messi is my favorite player. But Batistuta, Zanetti, those guys are my heroes. I have some jerseys. You can't see it on the screen there, but there's a massive pile of jerseys, and I love those guys. So, who knows? Never say never. I met Pablo Aimar. So, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Also, I'd like to thank those who looked at the under-20 watch-along final. We had an internet connection. Digicel had a nationwide blackout. And, we lost the feed 60 minutes into the feed. But a lot of people supported all over the planet. From Morocco, Argentina, all over the planet. That was really good. So, Hukot Brent. Since Trimingham came, TNT has only let in 3 goals and only 1 is his fault. I think he's okay. I don't really have much of a problem with Trimingham. I see that he's improved. I know he's not perfect. I could see why some people have some issues with him. But, we could see how it goes. Candice, Crespo is yours. I love Crespo as well. I really, really, really like Crespo. I think, he's, for those of you who know, that is one of my favorite Argentinian strikers as well. El Valandito Crespo played for great clubs. I think if he wasn't in the era of Batistuta, probably would have been, remembered just as much. For anybody who followed Serie A and followed football, Hernan Crespo is a proper striker, folks. Hukot, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Let me know. And Hukot, don't forget to subscribe, Hukot, because you could win prizes, and I will send it to Jamaica if you win. You automatically qualify to win jerseys. Since you're Jamaica, I could probably try to get you a Jamaica jersey instead. But we have a Trinidad and Tobago jersey giveaway as well. So welcome, Hukot, Kutan Charles, Batigol and Hernan Crespo in France 1998. Great team. Yes, they were. And a lot of people have been arguing that, around that time, I'm going back in time here, folks, that, both Passarella and Bielsa should have used both of them at the same time. They were the best strikers in the world at the time in Serie A, which was the biggest league in the world at the time. And for whatever reason, coaches never played them at the same time. I mean, they were very similar. Tall, powerful strikers, and maybe that's the reason why they always wanted to complement the big striker with a mobile striker, which at the time was Ariel Ortega and Claudio Lopez, Kelly Gonzalez, those types of players, but man, they were great. I love to see them play. If you haven't seen them, go on YouTube and take a look. These guys were proper strikers. I actually don't think that a lot of modern strikers match up to them. And I think there's a lack of great number 9s in today's football. You know, outside Erling Haaland and a couple others. You know, those sort of number 9s are a rare breed. Great at free kicks, great with headers, both feet, amazing. Athena, Tampa, Florida. I remember Athena. Athena, you have been a regular supporter of Extra Time TV. And, you know, like I said, Athena and everybody else, you know, before I start wrapping up, if you have any other questions as well, I'm going to be doing this every week, every Wednesday. It takes a lot of work to prepare this. You know, even now my throat is taking a serious pounding. And that's why I would ask everybody to make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Follow all our socials. Be sure to support us on the, you know, merch if you'd like. It really helps the channel. And, you know, send pictures when you all get the merch as well. Of course, you qualify for prizes because it really helps the channel. It takes a lot of resources to get these channels done. We will be having the watch along for the Trinidad and Tobago Jamaica game as well. So, you know, look out for that. We'll have our post-match reactions. We'll have our reactions from the coaches. And I'm also trying to figure out if I could do the live stream near to the stadium so I could be there as well. So that's a massive obstacle. So like I said, for everybody who's in the live stream right now, take a moment to click that subscribe button. Let's continue. I'm going to wrap things up. I'm going to do it for maybe one more minute, and unless there's more questions, I'm going to wrap things up. Like I said, it's going to be 30 minutes, but it ends up going into an hour. My God. So Kutan Charles from Ingham isn't bad. Right now, Kutan Charles is ranked number 1 in the chat, folks. He's ranked number 1 in the chat. Candice Hiralal wish they won in 1998. Batigol said it was his fault. He hit the bar. Yes, he blamed himself. I think it was just... I remember that game against the Netherlands. For those of you who don't know, those of you old enough to know, that was... I mean, the quality of all the teams in that World Cup was very high. And the Dutch had a very good team with the De Boer brothers, Kluivert, young Edgar Davids, I think. Great players. And in the end... You know, Basuda hit the post. Ortega got sent off. And Dennis Burkham scoring an unbelievable goal. A ridiculous goal. A ball was delivered to him into the box. First time control. A rare time he got past Ayala and he scored with one movement. And, you know, eventually the Dutch went on. They lost to Brazil on penalties. I think if they defeated Brazil, they would have won the World Cup. But I think if Argentina won that game, they would have won the World Cup. It was a young team at the time, you know, the post-Maradona era. There was a lot of controversy at the time. A lot of great players were dropped because they had long hair from Passarella. You had Strict Rules, Redondo, Canija, a couple others as well. Kutan Charles. Yes, that's right. You know, I was just talking about that. Ortega got red carded, then Burkham changing him. Yes, he did. You read my mind, Kutan. That's exactly what happened. That game, you know, as an Argentina fan, you know, great goal, but of course it still, you know, pissed me off. It really pissed me off that, you know, they got that goal. So like I said, I'm going to wrap things up unless there's more questions coming in. I'm seeing people praying for Jamaica and the aftermath. Oh yeah, so yeah, listen folks, I'd like to say a special, you know, I really am concerned. I know that the hurricane hit Jamaica, and I hope everybody in Jamaica, I have a lot of viewers from Jamaica. And you know, I hope the situation is okay right now. I know you guys are very, very much devastated by the hurricane. I hope everybody's okay. I hope the damage to everybody is not as bad as it looks. And you know, everybody at EXTV, you know, is concerned. You know, you all are Caribbean people. You all are massive supporters of Extra Time TV. And of course, you know, we send our best wishes. And you know, I wish we could do more. And folks, you know, if whatever help you all could send to Jamaica, do that. You know, Jamaica, I hope everybody's okay in Jamaica. And all the Jamaicans in here and all the Jamaicans that have been supporting us. I have a lot of fanfare from Jamaica. I really appreciate that. And my thoughts are with you all right now. You know, so I've been monitoring it from Trinidad and it looked very brutal, folks. It looked very brutal. Athena, Johan Cruyff, and Gerd Müller. Yep, great players, folks. Maybe I could probably do an all-time 11 and put it on social media. What do you all think of my all-time 11? I've never been asked to do that, but maybe I'll do one. And you all could send in your all-time 11. What do you think about that, folks? You all want to do that in the next show? Everybody puts in their all-time 11 and we choose, you know, which one is our favorite. Let's do that. How about that? So Athena. So yeah. So, folks, with that being said, unless questions keep coming in, I'm going to wrap things up. I've been running my mouth for an hour. Like I said, this was supposed to be a shorter format, a weekly episode. And like I said, for everybody who's in the stream right now, be sure to like, subscribe, comment in the comment section below, follow us on our socials, click that notification bell, and get your friends to click on that notification bell. And, if there's things that you want to talk about, things that I missed, we'll do that. I'm going to put time codes. I'm going to try my best. I'm going to probably clip topics off and put them as separate YouTube videos. Let me know what you think. So those of you who don't want to look at the entire thing, you can go there. And of course, we'll have the watch along for the Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, and Bermuda game. We'll constantly keep trying to improve the stream. It takes a lot to get these streams done. And, I really appreciate your support. So folks, everybody who's out there, even if you didn't join in the live stream and you missed it and you're looking at it now, be sure to do all those things. Like, subscribe, share. Head over to extvmedia.com. Follow us on our socials. Support us. We have a media option in the links. If it's not in this video, it's in the other videos where you can support us as well. It really helps the channel continue to grow. And, always, it really helps. So, I'm encouraging people to do that. And you have special access to special content when you become a member. We have special interviews that we did, very detailed interviews with people like the TKR manager, TKR player, Shaka Hislop, and those people. And all these things, we are able to do these things with the continued support. So those of you who can and you want to, go ahead. And you'll get a lot of perks when you do that. So it's something new to the channel, and we'll do that. So I'm seeing Athena doing the live long and prosper. I don't know if I could do that. Can I do that? Is that what do you think? Is that good? It's actually surprisingly easy. I thought it would have been hard. Let me try to put that on the camera. Live long and prosper. Athena, are you a Star Trek fan? That looks very Spock-like to me. So yes, so folks, with that being said, I'm going to end the stream off here, by wrapping up and saying continue to support me. If you want to give suggestions, you can head over to the YouTube community. And my screen came on behind. That's to tell you how long I was doing this. You can head over to the YouTube community on the YouTube page. You can head over to the Facebook page as well and drop comments. We're always posting updates in there as well. And you can let us know the topics you want to see. And we will choose them all. Even if you have questions beforehand, you could send them in. And of course, you could join the membership and contribute in any way you would like. That's entirely up to you as well. It really helps the channel. It really helps the channel. And it really helps the channel continue. And we're trying to aim for that subscriber count, folks. In fact, let me see if I can pull it up. Let's see where we are right now. We're aiming for 5,000, folks. We're aiming for 5,000. I'm going to see if I can pull it up here. I'm sure it's here. There we go. Let's see. Subscriber count. So right now, as you can see here, we are on 2,697. And I think it's even updated right now as we speak. I actually think it's more than that right now. So I'm going to see if I can refresh that. That's where we are with the subscriptions. I think we're definitely at more subscribers. So let me take a quick look and see at the subscribers we have right now before we go. But I want to get the subscribers. We want to get those subscribers up to 5,000. We want to get it really high. So right now, because I think this is updating, the subscriber count is 2,833. That's pretty high, folks. That's pretty high. So I'm going to update it now while we're speaking here, folks. I'm gonna create a new one. So we're gonna delete this one, and I'm doing this live, folks. We're doing this live so you all can see, because all these subscriptions really help. So I'm getting everybody in the live stream here to do this, putting you all on the spot to put the subscription goals up. So I'm gonna put it here. Let's see if I can find it, folks, in the comment section. Everybody in the live stream, I would really love if you all could support the channel by doing this. And it's still saying the same codes. I don't know why, but I'll update that next time. So it's saying 2,600, but on the actual YouTube channel here, folks, it's saying my subscribers are now at 2,833. So we're just a couple more away from the 3,000 mark, folks. So I would love for everybody who's in here right now to subscribe, and it really helps with the channel. So who got bank? Rio Cardin's play today. I'm going to look at that, folks. I think he should play right back for Trini. He does play right back. he should play in midfield 3 alongside a new guy that played. And the thing is, he's kind of like Jovan Jones, and it's a shame that Jovan Jones isn't playing right now. I'm guessing it's an injury. We don't know. I don't know. Prime Jovan Jones and Cardines would have made us formidable. Or we do have some very talented wide players, folks. We definitely have those players. I'm going to look at the highlights when this is done. So like I said, folks, not to repeat myself, be sure to like, subscribe, comment. Also, let me know what you want, the comments, the topics you want to talk about. Hurkut, Athena, Candice, everybody else in here, Kurtan, the regular people. I know there's a lot of people who will tell me they were mad that they missed the stream. So even if you did not see the stream live, be sure to share to your friends and subscribe, because when you do that, it helps the channel. You could subscribe to the memberships, folks. It really helps the channel as well. And whatever donations you'd like to, it really helps when you purchase merch, which is hoodies and some cool stuff. It really helps as well. And just continue to support us. I'm going to catch my breath because this is supposed to be a 30-minute show, but I really enjoy engaging with you guys. And I'm going to try to bring in a guest next week. I'm going to have somebody in the studio, and then we're going to have the watch along. So we're going to have a lot of content. So we're going to have the match preview for the Trinidad and Tobago Jamaica game. We're going to have our, we're going to put the usual content. Usually Dwight York and those guys with their post-match comments. And we're going to have another episode of this next week at the same time, Wednesday at 7 p.m. And, we'll have a guest and you all can engage and you all will know. So check out the socials. And like I said, engage and comment. All these things really help. So with that being said, folks, I'd like to say a special thank you to everyone who joined us today. I'm going to catch my breath, hydrate, have dinner. Like I said, folks, it's been lovely hosting everybody. And everybody who's in the chat, I would love to see you all next week. And we have lots of exciting content coming up. So with that being said, folks, it's been a pleasure and see you next time.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching Extra Time TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe.